Imagine a weapon so devastating, yet so sophisticated, that without a shot fired, it destroyed the deadliest military the world has ever known. A weapon that paralyzed police nationwide, troops transnationally, cuckolded an already corrupt Congress, seduced senators, vetoed the presidency, sabotaged small business, the great engine of America's economy, sold poison as medicine, murdering millions and collapsing institutional biomedical credibility globally. Imagine a weapon part biological, part digital, but all psychological, targeting the spiritual. Not new, but as old as first sin. Evil engineered. There were no green berets in the garden, and the serpent wasn't a seal, but it was the greatest PSYOP in prehistory. The obsession of infection is so blatant that we constantly confront the apple bite on our daily devices. But there is a way out of the pit we've dug for ourselves. Rejection of evil begets repentance. Repentance begets rescue. Rescue begets restoration of our republic. So refuse, resist, reject, and rebel until, in God's good time, the new world, in all its power and might, will rescue itself, and with it, the old. I'm a retired SOCOM soldier, former DIA intelligence collector, and ex-DEA special agent, targeted by the deep state, turned whistleblower, now America's intelligence officer. Repurposed as chaplain, leader, teacher, and truth teller. The new mission, rescue and restore our fallen republic. Objective, defeat the deep state. Means, expose fake news. Tools, truth, discernment, and free will. Attention, deep state Dems, rhinos, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Trantifa, and assorted enemies, foreign and domestic. Your masks won't silence us. Your shutdowns won't stop us. Your riots don't scare us. You're not as organized as the British. You're not as disciplined as the Nazis. You're not as fierce as the Imperial Japanese. You're not as brutal as ISIS. We beat them all. You're next. Welcome. I'm Jeff Prather, and this is the Prather Point. Welcome, everybody. Very important show today. Special America's Epstein test. Rise or roll over. Very important. But first, remember sat123.com, sat123.com, or call 855-980-5830, 855-980-5830. You can get the Iridium 9555 at no cost if you sign up for a plan with a 24-month agreement. Go to sat123.com. Monthly is $95.95. You get a plan for as low as $85.95 in Marsat, and you can discount it. Family shared plans with up to 3 free phones are also available. So that's sat123.com, or call 855-980-5830. And also, I'm reminding you to go to jeffreyprather.com shop. You can get my signed books there. I have those in stock right now. Chase, Terror on the Border, Fast Action-Packed Fact-Based Fiction by an ex-DEA agent, and Initiation, Boys Are Born, Men Are Trained, My Journey with an Apache Medicine Man. Great book, lessons in the back. And get your Faraday bags to bag up. Got to have those. Lots of other good things there. There's Freedom is Taken T-shirts, Freedom is Taken mugs, ball caps, all of that there as well. Support the show. Appreciate it very much. See somebody there on Marco on X, and see some folks on Rumble. So this is a really important show. I want you to share, subscribe, like, please. This is a special Americans Epstein test, rise or roll over. This is a test. This is inflection point. This is it. We got to pay attention to this. And the sub-bullets are also very important. Was it too big to rig the election, or is it a deal with the devil? Also, Texas to New York floods distract from the cover-up that is happening. Further, Trump is blaming Melania for more Ukraine weaponry being sent. And the same Border Patrol and ICE that are deporting now, rather, were pedo pimping under Pedo Joe and Joe's pedos, which goes along with the Butler Secret Service final report, which is yet another cover-up, and that is on my Patreon if you want that. And the Epstein case has morphed into more war PSYOP via Iran and ICE. So Trump, Bondi, and Patel respond to our pressure. We've seen that they're responding to it. RFK called Sasha. Bondi and Trump have all responded. Patel has responded. So they do respond to pressure, even though they're under control. So it's up to us to keep the pressure on. This is a test of us. Will we rise now, or will we roll over? So I'm going to get into all of that into detail here. So first is too big to rig was the outcome of the election. But remember, all of the election fraud was still in place, all of the machinery. So what was made different? Did Trump make a deal behind the scenes? And was the deal something like, hey, we'll let you fix the economy so that we can then raid it again, but you can't come after us. You're not going to prosecute Pedo Joe. You're not going to prosecute Joe's pedos. Nothing of Russiagate, nothing of the Epstein list. Just business as normal with the usual uniparty shenanigans. That's looking more and more like what happened, although it's hard for me to believe that Trump is stupid enough to not know that the CIA and the FBI and the Secret Service were behind the assassination attempts. But maybe he is. The first time the hot wash I did afterward, he said he had too much faith in these institutions. Being in the inside of them like I was, I know that they're just guys and gals, and I know a lot of them. I'm not overly impressed with them, but the PSYOP of endless television and movies about the FBI, CIA, Black Ops assassination heroes is very strong. I guess it's in video games, Call of Duty. I don't play that stuff, but it can be. But that's the question. And it is looking now like it wasn't too big to rig. It looks like that Trump made a deal with the devil. And of course, I know I'm going to lose more supporters, more Trump cultists, more MAGA cultists who have replaced Yeshua the Messiah with Trump, the leader. But Trump is just a man. He is not the Messiah. He is not the Christ. He is a flawed, fallen man. He was deep state until he turned to us. Marco, do you think the Epstein cover-up and the continued wars gets us a patriotic president in 2028? Well, I hate to say right now, it doesn't look like it, because it looks like they controlled Trump coming in. But I am always hopeful because I'm always faith-filled, and I think RFK looks like a great candidate. Of course, you just saw Sasha talking about how RFK is very controlled. But again, this is a 4G, fourth generation resistance war that we are in. It's not a civil war. It's a resistance war. And all resistance wars, again, take decades or even centuries. So it took over 300 years, 3 centuries, for Christians to co-opt the Roman Empire. And now I know some of you are going to say, well, that's the Roman Catholic Empire. Yes, it is. So did Christianity get watered down? Yes, but Rome was changed, and then the whole world was changed. And of course, Catholicism has done a lot of things. And the core beliefs of Catholicism are along with the core beliefs of Protestants as well, as opposed to LDS, Seventh-day Adventists, Amish, that are not like that at all. They don't have the same, core beliefs. LDS, for example, believing that God was a man and then became a god, and that they're going to be gods on their planets. And then there's this extra book, just to give, one example. It doesn't mean all LDS are bad; just means LDS is a false religion. Same thing with Islam. But the important thing is it's looking like it was a deal with the devil instead of too big to rig. That said, Trump has accomplished a lot for us, and that's who we chose. And so you, me, we have taken the night. It's not us who has failed. It is Trump who has failed us at this point. Originally, it's us who has failed. We delegated too much of our lives out to the corrupt. But we will see. But the other point is, from Texas to New York, these floods are distracting from the cover-up. So I'm going to address this with a Team America meeting really soon, because there's a lot of good-hearted Team America folks that are going to help Texas victims, just like we helped North Carolina and South Carolina victims. But make no mistake, I believe totally this is weather warfare now. I don't believe in coincidences. There's just too many floods, one after the other. It's happening in Florida as well. The flooding in Texas is biblical. And this is to distract from the Epstein cover-up. So sure, we need to help our fellow man. We are our brother's keepers, but we cannot take our eyes off the Epstein cover-up. We must continue to pressure and hold Trump and Bondi and Patel and Bongino, whatever he's doing, to the fire, because they do react to pressure. That's really important. And then, Trump blaming Melania for more Ukraine weaponry is really, really sad and pathetic. This is another delegitimization of Trump, but it looks like he did this one himself. Before, it looks like he was co-opted, coerced, tricked, corrupted into, after he says no more Mideast made up wars, going right there and attacking Iran. No more, want to end the Ukraine war. Now he's saying that, Melania is saying that Russia is still attacking another city. And so I'll get into that more as well. But remember, the same Border Patrol and ICE personnel that were pedo pimping under Pedo Joe and Joe's Pedos are now deporting. They haven't changed. They have not repented. So if someone told them tomorrow to start pimping again, then presumably they would. They'll just be good little Nazi soldiers and do what they were doing. They have to repent. They have to confess and repent for them to move forward. Otherwise, this is all for naught. I had a guest a while back. I can't remember who that was. But he was a former law enforcement saying, yeah, that's a tough one. So Nas et al., major real 6'3" desert jumping under Cheyenne Mountain. All right. So, I don't buy all that stuff. Sorry. I don't buy, that Hillary's been executed at Gitmo and all that stuff. And, I think that you are, drinking the Kool-Aid and eating the popcorn there, Nas et al. So we saw a lot of Pedo Joe doubles. I haven't seen that many. I haven't seen Trump doubles at all. So, and if he's under the Cheyenne Mountain, then what's he doing? That doesn't help. That doesn't make any sense. You got to get in the fight. Trump isn't going to do this for us. Nobody's going to do this for us. Trump is in there because of us. It's us. We've got to do this. The only savior is Yeshua, and he's not coming anytime soon. And so what I mean about ICE and Border Patrol could go back to pimping kids tomorrow if they were told, because they haven't repented, is very obvious in the final report of the Secret Service that just came out about Butler. And if you want to see that report, so go to my patreon.com/Jeffrey Prather, sign up there. At the $5 Truth Seeker level, you get all the curated news stories that I'm talking about that you'll see, that you can follow along. At the Psy Warrior level, which is the $15 level a month, you'll get detailed reports like the Butler report. And that is the United States Senate's Homeland Security. 1 year later, U.S. Secret Service failure surrounding the July 13th, 2024 assassination final report document that you can go through. And then at the Point Patriot level, you get daily training videos in martial arts, in self-defense, in pistolcraft and riflecraft and horsemanship, in faith. You get the Major's favorite movies, all of that. And that's where people can train with me on those videos. They can also then be eligible to join my live online courses once a month. But anyway, the current Secret Service director failed to take proper steps to safeguard Trump's life at Butler. That's real clear. Corey Comparatori was fatally struck in the head. 2 other attendees were wounded. And of course, just like they're saying there was a list and now there's no list, there was one shooter. Then who was shooting at the counter snipers if there was one shooter? So it's another FBI, CIA, Secret Service cover-up. Sean Curran, who was serving as the head of Trump's detail and helped shield the president, was hailed as a hero. He wasn't. I said he was very slow. He was very incompetent. He should have been fired. But now it comes out that none of these people have been fired. Well, that's not really new. But who signed off on the Butler security plan days before the rally, even though the roof was not covered in the plan? Well, it was the same guy, Sean Curran, the head of the Donald Trump campaign detail, along with the supervisor for the Butler rally on his same Donald Trump detail, Nick Menster, and an inspector who was acting in a supervisory role, Nick Olszewski, in the Secret Service community. And what happened after Butler? Were they fired? No. Were they disciplined? No. They got promoted. And Curran is now the Secret Service director, and Trump promoted him, even though he failed. The last shooting before this was Reagan. So it's a drastic failure. Olszewski was ironically in charge of Inspections Division, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility. I can tell you for sure, DEA OPR is the most corrupt. That's the guy's, I forget his name, Rusty Dusty McMillan, who lied about me, came after my religion, made stuff up. OPR is the most corrupt of all because they're the ones inspecting everybody else. Nobody inspects them. And Curran was responsible for promoting two others who have escaped discipline as well. So why were they promoted? Because they were in on it. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, which was set Trump up. Nobody in diplomatic security, dignitary protection is that incompetent. They're not. I've done a lot of it. I've done foreign heads of state. I've done presidential candidates. Santorum was the last, alongside Secret Service guys. I've done lots of Liberty luminaries all the time. Nobody's that incompetent. They were in on it, just like ICE and Border Patrol, who are now deporting, and they're making a big show. The numbers are very low, by the way, but they are deporting. They're making a big show of the deportations. They're also making a big drama of the fight between ICE and the cartel proxies as well. Oh, Connie, do you think the attempted assassination could have been staged? No, I've been over that many times. You could not stage that. That's very clear. You got to pay attention. You guys got to rise up and join Team America. If you're not going to join Team America, you got to get with some organizations that is going to pressure the administration, keep the pressure on. You can't just talk and you can't just comment on these casts. You got to do more than that. That's really, really important. So, and that's what I'm seeing a lot of these comments is, it's time to get focused, folks. It's time to warrior up. Everybody wants to be a warrior until it's time to do warrior shit and really do the hard stuff. And that is pressure. Now, how you're going to do that, it's best to do that through some kind of group. I know one group in Oklahoma is committing to that with Charity Lynch, who is also a Team America Oklahoma member as well. I'm going to lead Team America in our next meeting, which is coming up to do that. But you just can't comment and sit around and eat the popcorn. This is our test. I'm going to emphasize the test here is now that we were told there was a list, there'd be a reveal list, and now there's no list, will we roll over or will we rise up? And for some of you, are you just going to keep commenting on my feeds and on X, or are you going to do something? And what do? You can join Team America. What can you do? You can join the chaplaincy, or there's other groups out there that you can join. But you've got to get off your asses and stop just talking and do something. Okay? Not just silly comments about, Trump's in Cheyenne Mountain and asking the same questions, over and over. Okay? Wake up, get up, rise up. It's time. This is the test. Okay? So what am I doing? I'm doing the Prather Point. I'm speaking out about this. Again, I have a speaking engagement where we're going to address this directly in Iowa, September 13th. Team America Iowa is sponsoring that, along with some other experts in the field. And we'll be giving out strategies for that at a local level. Team Iowa has put that together. I'm going to be leading Team America into this. I'm leading the chaplaincy into this. That's what I'm doing. I'm telling my family about it. I'm telling everybody I know about it. I'm actively doing a lot. What are you doing? That's the question. So anyway, Trump is now pathetically blaming his wife for more Ukraine weaponry. Remember, he said he's going to end the Ukraine war. And now he's going to increase military assistance to Ukraine. I don't know how many billions or trillions of dollars and we've given to Ukraine. It's a CIA-sponsored war. Why? Because that's what CIA wants. They still want it. They've got Trump under control, and so he's going to do it. And now he's saying, well, Melania was pointing out to him that Putin has consistently gone back on his commitments after the discussions. I go home, and she says, I talked to Vladimir today, wonderful. And she says, wonderful conversation. And she says, really, another city was just hit. Supposedly Trump is saying that this is a slap in the face and that he's getting frustrated with Moscow and pledging to provide Ukraine with billions more of U.S. dollars in advanced weaponry, which nobody wants. And Ukraine is never going to win this. They weren't winning. They aren't winning. They will never win. By the same token, Russia is not going to try and take Poland or Europe or anything else as well. And Melania, by the way, is from Slovenia, which was part of Yugoslavia, which declared independence from Yugoslavia, and has not made any public statements regarding the war in Ukraine until now. Well, why until now? Well, actually, she didn't. Trump did. It was a pathetic excuse to blame his wife, and it's very, very disappointing, and it is further delegitimizing him. So this cover-up is making things worse all along. So to return to the U.S. Secret Service report, not a single person has been fired. Just like in 9/11, just like in Benghazi, just like in Afghanistan, there were 6 people that faced disciplinary actions. 2 of those received lighter punishments than initially recommended. 6, but nobody's fired. The U.S. Secret Service denied multiple requests for additional staff, assets, and resources to protect President Trump during the campaign. Secret Service fired nobody after Butler, so it's business as usual. In 2 instances, the final disciplinary decision was reduced punishment. Former Director Kimberly Cheadle falsely testified to Congress that no U.S. Secret Service asset requests were denied. She also she did admit that there was overhead imagery, but then they never followed up on that because it's a show. Despite Secret Service leadership receiving an intelligence briefing regarding the protectee authorizing counter snipers at all of President Trump's outdoor rallies, counter snipers were not present at the July 9th Doral campaign rally. There were ill-defined responsibilities for Secret Service agents in advanced roles. Agents failed to communicate crucial information regarding suspicious individual to President Trump's shift detail, which had the ability to prevent him from taking stage. Pertinent threat intelligence related to the protectee was not shared with Secret Service agents in charge of the Butler rally. Severe lack of coordination and communication for Secret Service and state and local law enforcement. Well, that's what Secret Service does. That's the whole reason they have a Secret Service. And so if they're not doing that, they're either incompetent or negligent or both. And if they are, when something huge like that happens, like not 1, but 2 assassination attempts, 2 guys with guns, and nobody gets fired, well, what does that tell you? They're in on it. But the important point here is, so are the Border Patrolmen and ICE folks that were prostituting, kidnapping, pimping children to the same location over and over. The government is still run by the double government, the deep state. That's the important thing to understand here. So it even says in this report that they were trying to get BORTAC snipers. So Secret Service snipers and BORTAC snipers are not the same thing. Secret Service are world-class snipers. BORTAC snipers are not. And I used to deploy with BORTAC when I was DEA Snowcap. So I'm actually very familiar with them. From January 5th, 2024 to February 29th, 2024, Donald Trump was denied counter-assault team assets for various roles for 6 times. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 6 times. So when does it stop being a failure and it becomes, this is their plan. This is what they were in on it. It's very clear. It's very obvious to anyone who is not siloed, not psyoped, not propagandized, that somehow the Secret Service is magically like it is in the movies and good, but they are fallen individuals who have been corrupted, extorted, seduced, threatened, bought off. Between November 15, 2022 and July 13, 2024, the Secret Service denied or left unfilled enhanced asset requests on 4 separate occasions. So how many occasions does it take? Just like how many intelligence failures does it take before you realize it's not an intelligence failure, they planned it. And they are in on it. And so they all have to be fired. And if Trump doesn't fire them all, he is in on it. And you have to face that. And so, and Nazadol still can't focus. Okay, well, then I'm not going to read any more of those. So if you guys can't focus, then, I'm not going to respond to those. So, but now the Epstein case has turned into a propaganda psy war for more war, more Mideast war and more domestic war via the militarization of ICE. So now the House Republicans don't want to vote to not release the Epstein list, which now Bondi, of course, says doesn't exist when she said it does exist. And of course, Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to reveal the list. That's all porn talk. Nothing is going to happen there. She's bought and paid for. If she gets up there, she's going to say whatever they want her to say, which is basically going to be, here's what I'm giving you, and there's nothing else, because it is a show. So Democrats in the House Rules Committee seized on populist support for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files, forcing a vote that made Republicans on the committee look foolish, which isn't hard. They look foolish all the time. Congressman Ro Khanna filed an amendment that Ro Khanna, where's that name from? That had all but one Republican on the committee vote against it. So they are in on the cover-up. Congressman Ralph Norman was the only Republican who voted in favor of the amendment. Mr. Speaker, I introduced today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files, declared Khanna ahead of the vote on Monday. Speaker's Rules Committee should demand a vote tomorrow. For over a week, the White House has been embroiled in this public relations nightmare, but all the Rhino Republicans voted against it because they work for their party, which is the Uniparty. They don't work for us. So how do we win this? This is a 4th generation, long-term resistance war that my children will be fighting, and your children, if you raise them up right, will be fighting. So Khan and the other Democrats have pretended to be in favor of releasing all the Epstein files being held, but they know that they will not be released because they're on the files too, just like the rhinos are as well. But it doesn't matter because the Epstein case is morphing into more war via PSYOP, and instead of getting justice. And so what does this really come down to? And I published this on X today. The pimped rhino prostitutes and cucked Congress refusing to release the Epstein files while the Dems clamor for them all of a sudden. Everyone is covering political careers and maintaining Mossad, CIA, and MI6, justifying child murder, torture, rape, and kidnapping. Dems who already knew rhinos wouldn't vote yes. Caligula would be proud of you all. This is the corrupt American empire, just like the corrupt Roman empire. And again, the answer to this is the Christ and following the Christian protocols, which is self-reflection, repentance, confession, and then asking for forgiveness. And this is why I have a chaplaincy, because the first chaplain was St. Martin de Tours, and St. Martin de Tours was a Roman cavalryman who converted to Christianity because he'd been playing with the children of the slaves who were Christians in his Roman house. And that's co-option, that's infiltration. So our children are going to have to infiltrate them. That's the long-term answer I'm trying to get across to you. But as I can see in the remarks, nobody is getting it. So now that the Department of Justice has quietly declared the Epstein case closed, and as I said on a previous show, that means that you can close the case, which means eventually you can destroy the files, the ones that you haven't already destroyed and modified as well. And so this is business as usual. And, Trump wants us to move on. He wants us to talk about Russia. He wants us to talk about Iran. He wants us to talk about the flooding. So the dangle overseas was Iran. The dangle here is the flooding. The Texas flooding didn't work enough. So now there's weather warfare in New York weaponized as well. And there's going to be more. And I said this before, and I was right again. There's going to be more weather warfare to see if we will move on. This is a test. This is a test of our consistency. Consistency builds character. Will we give up? Will we roll over? Will we just drink our beer and watch another football game and talk about the next issue? Or will we pressure them and stay on them and make things happen? So that is the key here. So, Musk recently said that Trump's name appeared in the Epstein files. Now, that's true. He did. He's actually on a list, but it's not on an aircraft flying to Epstein Island. Alan Dershowitz is, by the way, flying to the island. But they're changing this now to focus on, and you're seeing all the drama of all of the ICE confrontations, and you'll see Fox, faux Fox, and fake Newsmax and communist CNN focusing on the drama and the fights between ICE, which is not that big a deal. And those things could be stopped easily. Remember, the same ICE guys and Border Patrol guys that they're now fighting with were before pimping and running kids. So they want you to distract to that. They want you to be distracted to the Texas floods. They want you to be distracted to the to the dangle in New York of the floods. And we do need to care about cops that get shot. We do need to care about the flood victims and pray for them and take care of them. But we cannot come off of the demand that the child murderers, torturers, rapists, and kidnappers be revealed and justice. Otherwise, it's just business as usual yet again. So, and that is even more clear with what has happened in Syria. And I had a guest on a while back that talked about that a little bit, and I'm not really expert in that, so I've gotten a little smarter on that. And I published an article on, republished an article on Patreon and on Locals recently. Locals is jeffreyprather.locals.com, $9 a month, $9 a year. As the global war on terror is over and terror won. And so as far as it was in Syria, that is true. Now, in my old intro, which I did today, I said, hey, we beat the British, which we did. But then, of course, there's another aspect where the British government surreptitiously comes back in, counterattacks us economically and legally. We beat the Nazis, but then, of course, we import a lot of Nazis. We beat the Japanese, and we were very much enthralled to Japanese products. Now it's Chinese. We had beaten ISIS. Now PEDO Joe, just like Obama, who invented ISIS, has brought ISIS back because there's always a counterattack. After you win, you've got to hold the ground, and we are not consistent about holding the ground. So back in 2001, Bush said this is a crusade, war on terrorism. It was always stupid, GWAT, government war on terror. I've got my service ribbon for that, but and I don't have an expeditionary ribbon for that, by the way, because I did not deploy. I just sat in a cush office in D.C. and Alexandria, Virginia. but that's my combat war. My undeclared stuff in Panama and Honduras and Nicaragua, and that was where I got shot at a lot more, or got shot at rather. But you don't declare war on a thing; you declare war on a people. But anyway, that's how stupid that title was, GWAT. But he said the war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, and he was right about that. But one of those countries in which Al-Qaeda jihadists had implanted themselves was Syria, where from 2011, with the support of the Obama administration, because again, Obama created ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. They attempted to overthrow the secular leader Bashar al-Assad using terrorist tactics. Then they soon changed their name. They became Al-Nusra Front, headed up by an experienced jihadist who fought against U.S. troops in Iraq by the name of Abu Muhammad al-Jolani. His group was known for chopping off heads, perhaps even American heads. Last December, Jolani's jihadists, with support of the U.S., Turkey, and Israel, finally brought down the Assad government. So the U.S. CIA was working with the terrorists to bring down the Assad government, doing the same thing again. And they did a Washington makeover. He clipped his beard, switched out his tactical watch for a $90,000 Patek Philippe World Time, a lot fancier than my wife's new Omega Seamaster from the Bond movies there that she got me for my birthday. And the civilized world cheered the emergence of democracy in Syria. And Trump praised this jihadist Jolani as a young, attractive fellow and a tough guy, fighter. So this was a U.S. designated global terrorist with a $10 million bounty placed on his head by U.S. authorities. His wanted poster still remains on X, on the X account of the U.S. Embassy in Syria. And then Trump removed sanctions on Jolani Syria at the Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister's request. And just yesterday, Secretary of State removed Jolani's old al-Qaeda affiliation. So the history of GWAT, Global War on Terror, began in 2001 with the U.S. invading Afghanistan to dig out al-Qaeda. It ends 24 years later with the U.S. recognized an al-Qaeda affiliate as the ruler of Syria. And of course, the Taliban government is back in control of Afghanistan. Remember, I've had the Green Berets on. There's my cool horse soldier bottle with signed by ODA 595 retired Sergeant Major Vince McKella, who's been on a couple times. And they say, hey, we won, a couple Green Berets won that first war. And then the next one was lost by SOCOM and Delta and Six and Big Army and Big Navy and Big DOD, who wanted to get in on that. So the global war on terror cost American people $8 trillion, took perhaps 1 million people's lives, a lot of American servicemen and women as well. And so what did we get for that? After that, we were replaced by the Taliban, and we were replaced by Syria terrorists back in. And as Jake Sullivan, then right-hand man to Secretary of State Clinton, wrote to the Secretary in 2012, Al-Qaeda is on our side in Syria. He wasn't joking. We have aligned with terrorists many times. The CIA doesn't stop terrorism. It manages terrorism along with the FBI. And the United States has also removed sanctions on Al-Qaeda in Syria. And they have gone after Francesca Albanese, is a fearless defender of human life in Gaza, where it is slowly being extinguished by Israel with the backing and weapons of the United States government still. And the UN, they just hit the UN human rights defender Albanese with sanctions via U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying, today I'm imposing sanctions on UN Human Rights Council Special Reporter Francesca Albanese for her illegitimate and shameful efforts to prompt the International Criminal Court action against U.S. and Israeli officials, companies, and executives. Albanese's campaign of political and economic warfare against the United States and Israel no longer be tolerated. So Albanese just wants the Israelis and U.S. government to stop murdering Gazans, and she is the one who is being censored while we are embracing the terrorists. This is how bad it has gotten. So whatever these actions might be, there might be a physical threat. Who knows what they're going to do. But that is how bad it has become and how turned our government has been. So I'm looking for legitimate comments and not seeing any of those there, but I am willing to take those if I see them. I'm not seeing any right now. So that is really what I wanted to get about crucially today, to really make that point that this is America's Epstein test. We are at a cusp. Whether we have been so psyoped, so drugged up, so dumbed down that we will rise or we will just roll over. And so simply making comments on X and making comments to me on the feed ain't going to cut it. That's just talk. Most talk, few do. So I founded Team America. I founded the Christ Chaplaincy. And of course, I served in intelligence, federal law enforcement, and military special operations, psychological operations, special forces as well. And I'm still active in teaching and trying to wake everybody up and lead and do in this. But again, I'm holding your feet to the fire. If you're just about talking, if you're just about making comments, then you're not doing anything, and you're going to get the government you deserve, the government you tolerate, and the country you deserve. So simply talking about it is not enough. So was it too big to rig, or was it a deal with the devil? It is certainly looking like the latter, that it was a deal with the devil, because all of the election fraud machinery was still in place. And it's pretty clear that they don't care what anybody thinks. The deep state, the double government, they don't care that they look ridiculous. They didn't care that they look ridiculous under Pedo Joe. They didn't care that Joe's pedos looked ridiculous. They just got up and lied in front of everybody. Now, the difference here is that Trump cares. Bondi cares. We can see because Trump is responding to this stuff. Trump he's always having his reporters there, and he's like, what, you still want to ask about this creep? Hey, you should be talking about the floods. Trump cares. Trump can be pressured. Pedo Joe could not. It's kind of like the difference between the British in India and if it was the Nazis in India. And a lot of people think Gandhi was nonviolent. He was not nonviolent. He was very activist, or rather not nonviolent. He was not a pacifist. He was an activist, and he was using ahimsa, which is enlightened nonviolence, which he actually learned from studying Yeshua against the British. Now they had to take a lot of people, got killed and shot before the British had a sense of morality that it was time for them to leave, but he was also turning to communism, as was Martin Luther King. And the other day there was whoever the first Indian female and lesbian, I think, in government, in Congress or something was, and she said something, and then Ann Coulter said, we didn't kill enough Indians. Unbelievable that she would say that today. And so I disavowed her, even though I don't have any contact with her, and I've been disavowed by Laura Ingraham, for a long time. It never was on, as far as I remember, Ann Coulter's show. But the overt racism and hatred, and because these folks have been so badly treated, and so they turn to socialism or communism because capitalists have mistreated them so badly. And there's no empathy from their point of view for what they have been through, none whatsoever. It staggers me that people are like that, but it is true. So it looks like deal with the devil, not too big to rig. The Texas, New York floods are definitely weather weaponry at this point. There's just too much. It's too consistent. And while we need to help everyone we also need to stay focused on Epstein. And Pamoff, how would you react if a councilman wore a T-shirt saying "frack off"? Do we lower ourselves to their level? No, I would not. So I'll take that as a valid question there, Pamoff. And so I would not react. I never recommend reacting. I always recommend acting. When you react, then you are being controlled. So I would not react to that at all. And when I do, I respond to something. But the reason this T-shirt was worn was to engender a reaction in me to control my behavior. And so as a warrior, I'm not going to let myself be controlled. But so there's a valid question there, and that's a good question there. But the real problem here is the same government personnel, the Border Patrol and ICE, that were pimping children to the same places, the same safe houses, the same covered tents under Pedo Joe and Joe's Pedos, are now deporting them because they're just doing what they're told. I'm just doing my job like good little Nazis. So they have no internal moral code. They're not following the code of their individual agencies as well, because there certainly is one, and I've worked with plenty of very good border patrolmen. But as I stayed in the culture for almost 2 decades, I saw it get more and more corrupted, and the people get worse and worse. And when you no longer have any moral code, then it's whether you are whether you're rescuing kids or pimping kids, it doesn't make any difference because you're not following any kind of code. Of course, the basic code is what I say is the Mosaic Law, the 10 Commandments, the Christic Commandments, and the 2 Indian Commandments. And so in this case, where we're talking about children, it's the Indian Commandments is never harm children, and all is born of woman. But again, if you tune into ChristChaplaincy.com, and if you can't tune in live, 9 a.m. Arizona time, then you can always go on there. They're all recorded. Chaplain Darren did a great sermon and service this Sunday. My wife is up this Sunday because, again, Paul's remarks about women being quiet have been misinterpreted, taken out of context. He's talking about the people, the women in the audience talking as well. So she'll be on if you want to hear her. And the great thing is there's 3 ways to interact with us on the Christ Connection Chaplaincy, ChristChaplaincy.com, which is the Christ Connection Chaplaincy's website live, where you can chat. Facebook, where you can chat, and GoToMeeting, where you can actually talk to us back and forth. And so that's why I always try and do these live shows like this, so that we can have a 2-way conversation. But I'm going to have a serious conversation with serious people. I'm not going to have I'm not going to be distracted and react by. So that's why I'm ignoring some of the comments. But I will respond. And Pamoff says, thanks. You are welcome and well-mannered. That's like the other day. I had this guy, supposedly a doctor, who emails me and says, hey, I didn't sign up for your thing. Stop charging me. Give me my money back. And just an outrageous, insulting email. And so I wrote back, I didn't. You did. You have to. And he's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I didn't sign you up. And so you're accusing me. You're accusing me of being a con man and a thief. I'm not. So you've insulted me. If you want to apologize, then we can have a conversation, because when people want to resign, then I show them how to do it if they're polite. But if they're not polite, or if they're threatening me, I do not take well to being threatened. And I don't put up with that. And again, Pamoff, that's because then I'm in a reactive mode. And then that feeds fear. So as opposed to faith, having faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in your abilities, So where faith emanates, fear dissipates. But to have consistent behavior, and again, I'm talking about the inconsistent behavior of the same guys, the Border Patrol and the ICE guys who were pimping kids under Pedo Joe and Joe's Pedos are now deporting, is there's no consistency of character. It's very disappointing. So the system from the top to the bottom is corrupt. What's that mean? That means there's going to be a continued big collapse of the empire, just like there was a big collapse, a slow, big, long collapse of the Roman Empire. Is we're going to see that slow, big, long collapse of the American Empire, and you should not be part of it. You should be part of an alternative. So what's it mean to be part of an alternative? It means being in Christ Connection chaplaincy. It means being in Team America. It means going to initiation training and understanding about becoming a emotionally mature man and woman. You're physically mature when you can reproduce. You're emotionally mature, when you can love well. So that is the key to all of that. And the Butler Secret Service report just shows very clearly that it's all corrupt. They're all in on it. As I've said, there's no other answer. Nobody ever presents another answer to all of this. Is why did Kleinsmith at the FBI change the reports? Why did Ray lie? Why is the FBI still lying? Why did the Secret Service fail? There's no answer ever, but there is an answer, really. They are in on it. They are involved in it. That's it. Do I think, Marco says, do I think Trump administration has any bombshells to drop before the midterm? No. What they should do, again, sounding like a broken record here, but the way out of this, there's no legal, political way out of this. This is why Yeshua actually says, I am the way. There's no other way for this. So for this to work, Yeshua as the Mashiach in the connection of the Christ is the only way. And so what you do is you self-reflect, you take the beam out of your own eye, you learn what your sins are, then you actually confess. So and I said this about warp speed, is you got to drop your ego. So if you tune into a chaplaincy service, you'll see how we're doing our first 5 minutes of opening up, of dropping ego, of trying to get the non-thought. If you go to initiation training, you'll do a lot of zazen, where you're trying to get to non-thought as well. So you get out of the way so that you can actually be filled by the Ruach Kadesh, the great Holy Spirit, as opposed to just start babbling in tongues, which it benefits nobody and is egoism. And that's scriptural. Nobody can understand you. It's not valuable. That is scriptural there. So that's very important. The effort is individual. And the reason we were effective at World War II is because we were a godly, moral nation. Our greatness was in our goodness. Our goodness was in our godliness, which we have lost. We are recovering it now somewhat, but we don't have it back. And under Pedo Joe, it was outright worship of evil. But anything that's anti-Christic is bad. So that means Zionism and Judaism is anti-Christic. Islam is anti-Christic. All of that is that. So there's no other way forward, and it's got to be done on an individual basis. The only person you can change is yourself. I teach this in my kids' class. But when you change, all those around you begin to change as well. And so it's a long, slow, painful process that we do in chaplaincy, and we work mentoring people with doing that. We teach that initiation with initiates as well. And we do that in Team America. Early on in Team America, I was real hard on people just to see if they'd quit. Just to see if they could And a lot of them did. And it was great that they quit because it's a weeding out a process. So I've been through, as a special agent, special forces, special mission intelligence, and so all of those processes, there's a lot of selections that you go through, and they're trying to weed you out. They're trying to weed out the physically frail, the emotionally frail, the mentally frail as well. Marco, do you think Trump is a Christian? Well, in name, yes, I think he is in name. So now you get into, this is why I say we do Christology rather than Christianity, because Christianity has a lot of socio-political connotations to it. So if you're Catholic, there's one set. If you're Protestant, there's another set. Where if you just go back and start looking at Yeshua and following what he did, a Christology, study of the Christ, then you're on the authentic path. Because there's a guy who's always trying to get me to go back to Catholicism because he worships Catholicism, and then there's somebody who's Jewish and they worship Judaism as opposed to worshiping God. So there's various levels of commitment. So is Trump a committed Christian? No, doubtful. Because if he was, he would by now have to have confessed and repented. For example, warp speed. He would have to have done that. Now, so of the millions of people who call themselves Christians, how many are really Christian, who are really following what Yeshua said? So most of them aren't. Most of them are, it's just like when I had on Will Summers, the other Green Beret horse soldier. He's like, well, we didn't really have a problem with the Muslim guys' counterparts because they were as much Muslim as most Christians are Christian. I mean, they're in name only. They go to church. They give it some structure on Sundays, but not a deep follower really, where they're really following what Yeshua said to do. And because Trump isn't like that, he's not focused on that at all. So I think he's a Christian in name, but he is certainly very much a American Christian Zionist, that he is in thrall to the Israeli state. That's become very clear and very sad that that's happening. That he doesn't understand that that's a corruption of Scripture, as so many millions of American Christians do not, and they're all in for Israel, even though Yeshua, again, on the steps of the temple, right before he is going to be charged and taken, tells the Pharisees on the steps of the temple, you are no longer the chosen people. It's the vineyard story. It's real clear. That's why they go after him, because he tells the truth about him. You're whitewashed tombs. But still, all these Christians, American Christian Zionists, still buy into all that all the time. So in name. So Michael says, President Trump has been an officer for only 6 months. The swamp has been there forever. I'm giving him a chance to work through the chess game. Yeah, that's fine to give him. That's what I'm doing. We're in the chess game. That's what I'm saying, Michael, this is the chess game. The chess game is he's seeing if we will ignore that all these political elite. So I don't think that Trump went to Epstein Island. I'll just say that. I don't know, but from what I've seen, I don't think Trump went to Epstein Island. I've seen plenty of pictures of him with Epstein. I knew he threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when Epstein was hitting on some 14-year-old girl. But but I don't think he was. Maybe he was. If he was, then, you know, he needs to be held accountable as well. I think he is covering up for CIA. I think he's covering up for Mossad, for Israel. And what he's trading is he's trading political careers and intelligence careers and bureaucracy and hierarchy for the shattered lives of murdered, tortured, raped children. And as a Christian, you can't do that. You just can't. You got to stand up. You got to. You're like if you got to be a martyr for that, you got to be a martyr for that. Or if you got to kill to protect children, you've got to take life to protect life. You got to do that. But Trump appears to just be going along with it. That is not Christian. That is not really Christian. So that's my answer to you there, and that's much more of a good dialogue that I'm looking forward to have. But what I really want you to do is, are you really, Christian? Are you really following Yeshua? Or are you just lip surfacing it too? If you're going to move on from this issue, because Yeshua said, better he never be born than to harm a hair on one of these little ones' heads, be thrown into the ocean with a millstone around your neck. So the accountability for harming is really horrific. Not to mention, you should have a strong moral code that you just can't do that. Mark Mitchell on X says, not a game, keep our heads in the fight. That is what I am trying to, yes, I said that a long time ago, keep your head in the fight. And somebody wrote, keep your head in the game. And I'm like, nope, you're not following it. So Michael is reinforcing that he's actually listening. I see so few people today who can actually listen to what I'm saying. They hear words, but they are not listening to the import. I've seen a lot of that in the conversations today with a lot of folks. Oh yeah, Michael is also on X there. You stand in the gap. Yeah, Michael, you must be one of my Deshi, my dojo students there. So you stand in the gap. Yep, you stand in the gap. When you're being attacked, you defend until there's a gap, and that's when you counterattack, and you stand in the gap between innocence and evil. That's what a warrior does. So that's the really important message today that is bouncing off of a lot of big egos and hard heads out there. And if you don't like hearing that, then you don't have to listen to me anymore. I'm fine with that. And I'm not on to your distractions. But this is America's Epstein test. This is our inflection point. This will go down in history of whether we just rolled over for this or rose up and said we won't tolerate it anymore. And the government is clearly all about it. The government is clearly into the dark economy of weapons, drugs, and selling human beings, which is slavery, which is child slavery, which is child rape. And we cannot abide that. If you are a Christian, if you are a true patriot, if you are an American, you've got to stand up and say no. Now is the time. Because the courts are cuckolded, the police prostituted, the military gelded, journalists are junkmen, FBI frauds, CIA clowns, government goons. Antifa.com no longer goes to whitehouse.gov, but it did for 4 years. And no plan survives first contact, not even the Great Reset. You snakes are their insurrection. You vipers, the great lie. At Trenton, the Alamo, D-Day, and Flight 93, citizen warriors rose, stood, fought, and held. You've never taken a nation like America because there's never been a nation like America. Americans, rise, stand, fight, and hold now for ourselves, for our country, for our honored fallen, for our children, and for America. And take it back.